everyone, welcome. I'm Robert, and this is another solo review. Today I'm going to talk about Deckula, a solo card game of hospitable horrors. This was created by Dr. Mindflip and illustrated by the Spooky King. It was created for the Solitaire Print and Play contest, and you can find the files for free and print and play the game if you want. But this was recently released as a purchasable product on the Game Crafter, alright? And I saw lots of people recently on the One Player Guild's solitaire games on your table thread posting their play sessions, and the game caught my attention, so I went ahead and bought it. And for whatever reason, I thought that it was a deck builder from the name, and I didn't really read too much about the game before purchasing it. I just saw the name, the illustrations, and the fact that people were sharing it a lot. I thought it was a deck builder. It's not. I'll get that out of the way now. It's not a deck builder, but it will be a pretty kick-ass name for a deck builder as well if it happened to be one. But anyway, so let's talk about the components real quick. So you get the game in a talk box, all right? And there's no separate rule book. All the rules are written on the talk box itself, all right? And I have to say, very well done. I do prefer the rule book being separate, but it's very minimalistic in that sense, so less components, not necessarily a bad thing. It makes it easier for travel. You don't have to worry about a rule book paper flying around, and it's laid out very well. It's clear to read. I do personally prefer having the rule book separate myself, right? So I did go ahead and print it. Another thing is that you can't fit the game back sleeved, all right? If you are a compulsive sleever like me, it won't fit back on the talk box, all right? You can find this PDF, by the way, for the rules on the game's Board Game Geek page. And I just took a crayon box and labeled it, and it fits sleeved here, all right? Still pretty portable. But if you're not a compulsive sleever like me, you don't have to worry about this. It'll fit back in there. I cut the corners in an attempt to see if it would fit back sleeved. It didn't, but you don't have to worry about that if you're not a sleever. It definitely will not fit in here, though, if you want to sleeve the game, even with compact sleeves, all right? So now let's talk about the game, all right? So the goal of the game is to survive. You have to go through the entire deck, and if you reach the end of the deck, you win. And the way that you might lose, you might be stopped, is if enough visitors pile up, and then the home sweet home card comes out, all right? So during setup, based on difficulty, a certain amount of visitors will be shuffled into the main deck, along with the home sweet home card. And you have to make sure before this card shows up, every turn you're going to draw one card. You can either purchase it or discard it for energy. This is the energy card, okay? And now, if it's a visitor card, you don't purchase it. It just goes on your area immediately, and you have to deal with it, all right? But other cards that are not visitors, they have uses, all right? They can either provide victory points for a better score, or they have utilities that reduce the cost of other cards, or lets you play them for free, or they help you get rid of visitors, all right? So there's solutions here for you to for them to help you not have visitors pile up, okay? And if you reach the end of the deck and you didn't let this loss condition trigger, you win. And you can tally up the victory points for a better score. Or you can just make it more challenging by going to the higher difficulty settings and shuffling more visitors in, all right? So either way, that's the premise of the game, all right? During setup, you set up the deck based on difficulty, and you're gonna draw one card at a time every turn, and either gain energy by discarding it or purchase it by paying 2 for it, all right? And again, if it's a eye, you don't pay for it. It just immediately gets played, and typically it's a bad thing, all right? The cards with the eye on the corner, okay, like the visitors. Okay, so what do I think? All right, so very quick game, which I appreciate. Very easy to learn, all right? I've seen this trend with, for example, button shy games where for such small games, they sometimes are so obtuse to learn, all right, because the component limitation can, you have to figure out ways to write rules to get the most out of the components. So I just appreciate a small game with that's just a deck of cards, and it's simple to learn, right? I do appreciate how fast it is to learn. It's not complex to learn. It's not a complex game in general. It does play quick. It says 10 minutes. That's spot on, all right? It'll take you a minute probably to set up, and up to 10 minutes to go through the deck, all right? Now, it rewards repeated play because the non-visitor cards, they name other cards in the deck, all right? So as you learn the contents of the deck, it'll help you make better decisions of when to purchase cards, okay, and when to discard cards for gaining energy, all right? So it does reward repeated play in that sense. It's not a super deep game, though. I'll get that, I'll make sure that is clear, and that's fine. Not every game has to be deep. This type of game does play an important role in a collection. If you just want a quick game and knock out a few games and you don't have to re-study rules, this is great for that, okay? And there are some fun decisions to be made here. The art makes it very enjoyable. So one thing that I'll mention, I'll get this out of the way. My most favorite aspect of the game, honestly, is the artwork, okay? The artwork really just adds a lot of value to this game. And it's not just the spectacularly drawn art, it's the graphic design too. The color choices, the font choice, the layout of the cards, it's just masterfully done, all right? I will say that. Many games, even if they have good illustrations, sometimes the graphic design is lacking. I mean, sometimes the cards are clear enough to read, but maybe the font choices are a bit questionable, and the color choices make the card really visually busy and hard to read. This is just very stylish, very clear, and maybe I just have a particular taste with graphic design because that's part of my profession, all right? But I just think this is so well done. This is a really just great example of it's a simple card game, but it really just uses the graphic design choices are nothing here really feels arbitrary. It feels very purposely made, the visual aspect of the game, okay? A lot of thought and talent went into this, I can tell. And the graphic design and the illustrations mesh very well, all right? So visually, to me, this is a 10 out of 10, visually, all right? Not something that I tend to really put that much emphasis on, honestly, when if I were to review games, unless it actively makes it harder to play the game. But in this case, just 10 out of 10, the visual department. Now, on the gameplay aspect, for a game of this scale, I think it knows what it is. It's not trying to really be some deep game. It's just a fun game that plays quick, so keep that in mind. I would qualify this as a filler game, definitely. And again, not a bad thing. These type of games have a role in collections, all right? So this is the type of game you play in between other bigger games, or that you take for travel, all right? And let me just say that it is luck driven as well, all right? So because it'll be, a lot of it will be luck of the draw sometimes. Sometimes the cards that you need in order to have answers for visitors piling up in front of you are not gonna show up. So there is a luck of the draw aspect, okay? So if you don't like that, just, be wary of that, okay? Now, I played this 5 times, and it, luck didn't really impact me too horribly. I did manage to beat it. Now, there was one game where I was in an impossible situation within the first couple turns where the cards piled up in a way where there was nothing I could do, all right? I just had visitors that piled up, and then this home sweet home card I was about to draw it, and nothing before this card was about to be drawn, I had no answers to the visitors that piled up in front of me. Okay, so that can happen. If that had been my first game when setting up, I would have been upset. I'm not gonna lie. You know, luckily, just setting up the game just takes a minute. If I wanted to give it another shot, it takes like no time if you want to set up and play another game. Okay, so that's that. So if you care too much about luck, if it influencing your ability to win, if you're really unlucky, you're gonna be in situations where you're not gonna be able to do anything about it. Now, which is it's very rare though. I think it was just very very just a freak occurrence that happened, but it could. All right, now replayability. So now the variability will come from how the deck is arranged and the different visitors that could be added to the deck. All right, that and the difficulty settings. So there is a bit of replayability. Not it is a small deck, so this is the type of game that you might revisit every I would say every few weeks or a month or so after playing other games. You revisit this for a quick game. So I wouldn't say that this has too many factors that increase replayability. It's just difficulty and the visitors. That really is about it. So keep that in mind. All right. Now, I will say also though that I think this is a fantastic gift for people that are not might not be familiar with board gamer, like the gamer type that follows this board gaming stuff and they don't play games very often. It's simple enough that if you know somebody that is into Dracula or vampires in general or spooky things, I think this makes a fantastic gift. All right, I will say that. This, by the way, I think that I'm gonna play this every Halloween from now on. And again, the fact that I can learn the rules within a couple minutes, I think it's fantastic. I don't have to restudy some game system if I want to play a spooky game on Halloween. I think this is a spot-on Halloween game, all right, if you want to play something spooky in that time of the year. But yeah, also fantastic gift. Like I said, it's simple enough that I think somebody will, if you know someone who's into horror, they really will appreciate this. Oh, and one very interesting thing is that this game is very thematic. I have to also mention that it's surprisingly thematic because the mechanics of the game really mesh with the names of the cards and what's happening. All right, and there was this very cool moment at some point in one of my games that I brought up where I was able to pull off a combo where I killed 3 visitors. All right. So there is a combo here that you can set up with the beast and the fetid lair and the feast for the beast. All right. So I managed to pull that off, which allowed me to kill 3 visitors on the spot. And that can be tough to pull off. Once you play the game, you'll understand what that's about. But there are some interesting combos that you can pull off. Again, it's a bit luck-based, but you can make some decisions that will lead to that. And when you do pull it off, it feels pretty nice. All right. I like how there's like one like the cards that have that utility, because there are some cards that only provide victory points, but there are a few cards here and there that provide that utility of getting rid of visitors or looking at the top of your deck and rearranging it. There are just some cards that they feel very valuable because there's not a lot of them in the deck that do that. There's only one card that lets you rearrange cards. There's only a couple cards that let you kill a visitor. So the few cards that have those utilities, because let's just put it, let's say less is more in a way, because those few cards that have those awesome effects, because there are so few of them, they feel precious, all right? So I like that. So I did enjoy my time with this game, so let's arrive at some final thoughts here. So I enjoyed my time with this game, and this is a perfect like travel game if you just want to kill some time. It's a great gift, okay? it is a filler game, definitely. It's not a super deep game. Keep that in mind. But I think if you know anybody that isn't into solo board gaming, and you know that they're into this kind of stuff, I'm not much of a Dracula guy. I think the anything vampire adjacent, the thing that I'm the most interested in would be Helsing, the Helsing Ultimate, the anime. That's, as far as vampires go, that's like my favorite thing. So that's about it. I don't really watch vampire movies or books or read books that on the subject too much. But I know there are lots of people that are into that stuff, and they like their Universal monster movies and all of that. So if you know somebody like that, I think this is a great gift. All right, and if you want to introduce them to the hobby, I think this is more interesting than just a standard deck of cards. All right, for sure. The art, I think the art is spectacular. All right, I really love the art. I really love how it meshes with the the text, the illustration, and the effects of the card. All mesh really well. All right, very just labor of love, I can tell, and definitely the highest praise I have for the game is the visual. All right, and again, not just the art, but the card design, the layout of the card, the back of the card, the energy card, even the color choices, the color palette. My God, it's almost like it was made for me. I'm very particular when it comes to that stuff because I'm a visual guy. So I just really appreciate how well designed the cards are, how legible they are, the font choices, just everything, just well done visually. But again, not a super deep game. Not there isn't. You're not gonna find a lot of crunchy or insane decision making here. It's just a fun game that plays quick, easy to read, and again, it doesn't fit back sleeve if you care about that. So the talk box is not going to be useful in that regard, all right? But if you're not a compulsive sleever like me, it fits back in there. And very well done. No manual, as I mentioned earlier. It's all, no rule book. It's all in the talk box, all right? Very well, which is very well done, by the way. All right, so that pretty much is it, folks. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope that this helps you make an informed decision if you are thinking about buying this, all right? If you have any comments, please share them in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.